Are we live? Are we live? Oh, hey, welcome everybody to the Great Metal Podcast. This is episode 85 by my count, but that might be wrong. Today we are going to dive into, I think it's the most ridiculed aspect of metal. This style or genre, hint, hint, that's the debate, is just constantly being torn apart, even by metalheads. And I think it's badass. So we're going to talk about that when we get to the hot take. But we've got a whole bunch of stuff going on in the news. So let's talk about. Oh, man, I keep thinking that I have music. Oh, I just did it again. I keep thinking I have music to that, and I don't. But okay, let's talk about some news.
On a snare drum next time for that segment, Luke.
Oh, that'd be great.
Some nice flatulence.
Yeah. So, okay, first piece of news. I thought this was magnificent. And particularly based upon something Shred was talking about a couple of episodes ago. Metallica's new album, 72 Seasons, right? It's actually 77 minutes long. The album is 77 minutes long.
77 minutes? What?
But
that's like a Dream Theater record.
Yeah, 77 minutes. That's a full CD. Back in the CD days, that fill up an entire CD. But a fan went and they edited it down to 62 minutes. So they took 15 minutes out of the album, and apparently it didn't change anything.
Wait a minute.
Get it?
What do you mean?
So they took out like repeat phrases. So like Scott, you were saying one song, it was like, oh, they just played like this verse or chorus part like 10 times in a row. So this guy went and like cut it all down. There's album.
A lot of fat to trim in that record for sure. I love you, Metallica. Love you, Papa Hat. But yeah, like we did go on past when the song ended in a number of ones. Like the last one, I think it's like over 11 minutes. And it's one thing if it like progresses and goes somewhere interesting, but you can't just, keep playing the verse and chorus over and over again 72 times in a row. Not going to work.
Yeah. Yeah. So it just goes to show,
listen to that edit.
Everybody wants to be a progressive metal band, but they don't know how to write progressive music. But Metallica, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's a great album. I still haven't listened to the whole thing. So maybe you want to listen to all 77 minutes, even though there's only 62 minutes of actual content.
I don't know. It's hard. It sold like the equivalent of 134,000 units its first week, which is way less than Tool's Inoculum, released in 2019. Yeah. Tool did like 250 units or something, 250,000 units.
Oh, half as much.
Tool is also a much smaller band. I think in total they've sold like maybe around like 10 million records, whereas Metallica sold 125 million. So that makes the difference a lot more significant. But then, there's streaming factors to account for and whatnot. But I mean, it's hard to measure these days, but overall, 72 Seasons is not going to be Metallica's best album is what it's looking like, but no one's surprised by that. I don't think. Luke, are you surprised?
I'm not. I think that, Metallica, again, I'm a fan of like 80s Metallica because it was like, that's the style of metal that I like. I think once we got to really to the Black Album, they took a more definitive pop metal stance, and it made them an enormous brand, the largest metal brand on the planet. But it also was like, it went away from my metal sensibilities for sure. So
that's such a dividing line right there, that Black Album, it's a line in the sand. And every band does this at some point, where they're like, okay, how do we reach a larger audience? I remember when Dream Theater did that with Falling to Infinity, and
which like backfired in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. You have to at least try, at some point, because as a band, you want to grow. You know, what's the point of being in a band if you're like losing followers and stuff? That's no fun.
No, it's true. But I would say you got to straddle the line, get as popular as possible while still staying true to the music. When you cross the line into sellout, that's when it's like, oh man, well now you're betraying your original fans to try to like get some new fans. But everybody's got to do what they got to do. So so let's check out the next news item. This one is interesting. Rage Against the Machine. They finally got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Wow.
Here we go.
We're so far behind at the Hall of Fame. Who's running the show over there? Like,
yes.
Rage Against the Machine is a big deal. I'm gonna have to look up their total album sales because they were in that era when we actually bought records.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Well, and a lot of people are actually upset about this because there are still some big metal names that are not, even rock names that are not in the Hall of Fame. But Rage Against the Machine gets it. I thought that it was going to probably be System of a Down because System of a Down, they were the first metal band to hit 1 billion views on a video on YouTube. Yep. They're a big deal. And so, they have like the political aspect that is pretty popular with a lot of people.
We're like changing.
I'm trying
formats,
to keep
like
it fresh, man.
Oh, he's doing that
Highlighting
manually.
the speaker. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dude. So they didn't get it. System of a Down didn't get. Rage was before Sod, right? But Sod is so massive. What is that song that got the 1 billion views?
I think it was Chop Suey.
Yeah,
Chop Suey.
Totally.
I think it was Chop Suey.
Yeah. Like they just have some super viral hits.
Yeah. So but let us know like what bands
is Metallica in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
Oh, that's a great question. I think they are.
I think so.
Pete, are you looking it up?
I was looking up Chop
I looked up Rage's total album sales, 12.3 million for Rage.
Chop Suey has 1.2 billion views, so yes, it is.
But that's YouTube views. I'm looking up their total album sales.
Yeah, well, look that up because this next piece of news actually goes right along with that, and this is something again we crapped all over live shows not like a month ago, and it turns out we're having the largest record attendance for global touring. Live Nation just posted a $3.1 billion. I don't know if that's the quarter. That might be their full year. I'm not sure. No, first quarter. First quarter of 2023, $3.1 billion.
Dude, it's going to be second quarter is going to be like, I bet like double that at least.
Yeah.
Maybe a lot
because
more.
when did Metallica start touring? Just like a couple weeks ago.
Everybody just started touring because it's like the earth is warming up, it's summertime, springtime, right? And this is when everybody starts going out, and then the festivals are next month. Things are going to just blow up, and you feel like this pent up energy to get back out there and experience live music again. So
and we have Power Trip, the metal festival at that's
in the fall.
That's in the fall. That's gonna it's not gonna be as big as Coachella. I can pretty much guarantee that. But I would venture to say it's gonna be
how big is Coachella
bigger.
again? It's like close to 1 million people.
Yeah, 125,000 per day, and then it's 2 weekends. So I think like last year they did 750,000 over the course of the 2 weekends. I don't know what they did this year, but probably the same because that's like.
But that's 2 weekends. Power Trip, I think it's just one, right?
It's just one weekend.
There's not going to be as big of a draw, even though Metallica is huge. But and they have Iron Maiden too, which is also enormous.
And Ozzy, Ozzy, like who everybody thought had retired from touring, and now here he comes.
Yeah, he's like coming back, to bite more bat heads. Like, what a gift to humanity.
That man's just making the news, right? He's like, news is I'm done. News is I'm back.
It's so brilliant.
Yeah, and I mean, let's face it, he is older and he does have some health issues now. So this could be the last opportunity you have to see him. So if you're like, I want to see Ozzy live, you're going to go to this show, right? So I don't know. I think they're going to hit capacity. I think they're going to hit 125,000 for the 3 days that it goes on.
Oh yeah. I bet they'll hit that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. Because it's just one weekend. It's not going to do the 750,000, but it's going to be a big deal. Power Trip is going to be a big deal for sure.
Yeah.
So
big deal.
Metallica made it into the Hall of Fame in 2009. Been there for a
while,
while, hanging out.
That makes sense though.
Well, they deserve it.
Yeah, you would expect them to. They're the biggest brand. They've sold the most records. They're the
I
most
wonder,
popular.
what metrics they're really going by. System of a Down is a little bit smaller than Rage in terms of record sales. 12.3 mil for Rage, and then like 11.9 for Sod. So I mean, it's not a huge difference, but
yeah,
and it's not really counting in the the over billion or the billion video on YouTube.
Right.
That's wild.
All right, well, let's transition into talking about something that will never get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We're talking
hot take,
the motherfucking hot take. Here it is, guys. Okay, this is so contentious. But we're gonna lay it to rest today. Of course, we're talking about Gent, right? Now there is so much to say about this because first of all, you get on Reddit. Oh my gosh, it is a war. Is Gent its own genre? Is Gent just a style of guitar playing? I mean, it's a huge thing. Here's the meme. Oh wait, Pete, do you have it?
I was about to get it.
One
second, bam.
The memes encapsulate all of this stuff. So here it is. If Gent isn't a genre, then what genre are Gent bands if they're not prog?
Oh,
answer that riddle.
Ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
A lot of it's true because Gent. The Gent
just
bands,
thinking about this all day long. This is what Raptors think about. 69 hours per day. Gent isn't a genre. Just going deep. I mean, Luke, did you declare war on these Reddit people and just go in on them?
So I did not declare war on them. I weighed in on my 2 cents. So I mean, first of all, it's really hard. Like it's very difficult to define Gent. Because the roots of it come from Frederick Thorndal from Meshuggah, and he like in an interview he was trying to describe the sound of his guitar, and then he ended up be like Gent, and like so that, I mean that's where like the term came from.
It's like an automatopoeia.
Onomatopoeia.
Yeah. That's basically what it is.
That's right.
It sounds like the word, it's like when you palm mute on the guitar and you get it just at the right spot. Gent.
Totally.
That's
it. But it really became, I would say it is its own genre because there are bands that are specifically crafting their sound to sound that way. Just like black metal is like, hey, we want to do that, the tremolo picking, right? Well, you have tremolo picking outside of black metal, but when you hear that, you're like, this is probably black metal. I mean, it's a feature of the genre.
What's so funny is that Meshuggah is a tiny Swedish band, but they've had enormous influence on an entire genre. There's so many larger groups like, Polyphia and Tim Henson and those kind of guys, were influenced to an extent by Meshuggah.
Yes.
That's crazy to me.
Yeah. Well, so I mean, I think it's, the aspects of Gent, when people talk about Gent, it's like there's a few things that you have to have, right? So one is like ridiculously high gain, and super down-tuned guitars. Like Pete, can you pull up the
or have a 79
Wizard of
string
Oz
guitar?
Wizard of Oz. So Toto, I have a feeling we're not in drop C anymore. That's right. Gent goes so far beyond drop C.
I mean, there you go, Pete. Now Pete's got it.
Yeah.
Like I can see that's like that Ibanez 8-string guitar.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Drop H.
Well, and to the point where Gent has it gets ridiculed a lot. And because it's so extreme, I mean, they'll have like 20-string guitars that are so low, they don't even hit the registry that your ear can hear anymore.
Just pure flatulence, subsonic flatulence.
Yes. And so to the point where there's a great video. I've got a clip of it. Oh, go ahead.
It's just so funny how this all started. It's Steve Vai started it. Steve Vai came up with the 7-string back in the 80s. And then Meshuggah got that model from Steve, the Ibanez Universe. They started jamming around with that in the late 80s. And then they started detuning it. And then Korn comes along, right? And they went even further. They went down to A. And then Meshuggah's like, fuck it, we're going for an 8-string. And then they had these custom, they had to get this guy named Nev Born to start constructing these monstrosities. It just looked like a big paddle, at first. The prototypes were insane. And now here we are with subsonic flatulence. It's gotten so ridiculous. And like Luke said, sometimes it's out of the range of human hearing, it seems. And it's why do we need bass players anymore? Meshuggah was like, see ya. Forget about bassists.
Did they actually get rid of their bass player?
Well, they did initially, I think, and then they were like, you know what? He just thickens up the overall sound. So they kept him, because they just have, I don't know, man. It's weird. I like the idea of having a guitar, and that sort of does what a guitar does. And then the bass does the low thing, right? But then Gent kind of made him the same thing. And it's weird.
I would say that a lot of that though is just poor songwriting. I mean, if you look at a band like Dream Theater, John Myung is actually doing, stuff harmonically as well as melodically on the bass that the guitar is not doing. So it's its own instrument doing its own thing.
Right. It's not the point of Gent to have harmony at all. It's the whole band is a rhythmic machine. Under the Gent philosophy, there's no such thing really as harmony and stuff, and unless you're talking about Friedrich Thorndal solos, and then we get some kind of sense of, I don't want to say tonality, but
you don't go that extreme.
On there. Yeah. Well, let's not do that. But
they can coexist, and I actually have an example of it here in a little bit. But let's check out. So Jared Dines and Stevie T. They actually got into a fight over who is the Gent God, and we have a clip of it.
Who would have known the Gent God would have such few strings?
Never thought this day would come.
I built the sky on a
You couldn't just leave well enough alone, could you, Steve?
Your days of being Gent God are over. Your reign ends now.
It takes more than 2 extra strings to be a Gent God.
There it is. How many is that? Is that 18 strings?
At least. Steve's got 20 plus, I think.
So here's some Gent.
Paddle.
Now the battle goes on for quite a while, and let me tell you, they get down to using some of those top strings. Like that right there was solo, and they're on like string like 9 out of 20. Great video. Everybody should go watch.
I don't think anyone would necessarily listen to that like ever, but it is like fun. It's theatrical. It's hilarious. Brilliant. I applaud these guys.
Oh yeah, no, they did a fantastic job. Here's the thing: would you listen to a lot of music played on the 20th string of a 20-string guitar? Okay, maybe not. However, gent in general, absolutely, it's actually really, really good. Especially like Shred said earlier, it's very polyrhythmic, right? Mm-hmm. And so you have these bands that are doing really, really impressive stuff. It does not all sound good. But I've got a couple of examples here that are so badass. It's like this is going to definitively prove that gent as a genre or a style, if you don't want to consider it a genre, is actually really, really good. So let's start with the original. So this is Meshuggah. So this is Demiurge.
I would cut it there, but we're going to get that taken down 5 to 6 seconds max.
Well, we have to be more than 5 or 6 seconds.
I know, but I don't think blocks.
Do they block or they? Well, it doesn't matter. So here's the thing. Like, probably one of the most underrated aspects of music is the rhythm, right? I mean, it's what makes you want to like move your body. A melody can create like feelings of euphoria and all this kind of stuff. But what makes you want to like move? What like gets your heart pounding? It's the rhythm, right?
Dancing and music is a big deal. That's why, dude, that song puts me in like a hypnotic, exotic / erotic trance.
Yes. Yeah, it's so good. So would I listen to, someone playing 20 string, whatever note that high string is, probably not. But would I listen to Meshuggah? Of course. Right. Now, here's the thing. You can actually have, what would you call it? Like harmony. You can have some melody to gent. So this next example, Gojira, right? Loosely considered gent, maybe not technically, but listen to,
Predators are coming after you, Luke.
Listen.
Like to point out, just related to the news topic of cutting all the fat, like something like that. There is a place for the repetition, right? I mean, that the start of that song was just like the exact same thing over. It really didn't develop at all. It was just repetition. But that's that trance part you were talking about, right?
Yeah, and with a good point, Pete. And with Meshuggah, there will be like these micro changes that are subtle, that are going on, and so it allows you to keep doing, the same thing more or less over and over again. You can't just copy and paste, which is kind of what it sounds like happened on 72 Seasons.
Yeah. So let's get a little melody. So here is Stranded by Gojira. That's great. That's some good stuff.
Dude, that song rips.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so powerful. Oh my
That
goodness.
chord. Can you guys hear that?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. That's what Rick Beato would call a Lydian triad. So it's got that
Wow.
sharp 4, E flat, G, and A. Oh, I could smoke that all day.
Yeah. Well,
But yeah,
I mean,
to Luke's point, right? That then there's more than the rhythmic element. You're getting like some, I guess you'd call that harmony and melody at the same time. It's like two chicks at the same time.
It's true. It's true. Now, some bands literally, it's all an experiment almost in rhythm, and that's where you get bands like I don't listen to much Polyphia, but I think they're in that category. Animals as Leaders is like this,
Okay.
right? Like
big gent band, yeah.
Big gent band, but not nearly as like heavy, but like so technical. So I actually have a clip here of Animals as Leaders. This is called Red Miso.
Ooh.
This is a new one. Yeah, it's like a new video.
So I mean, it's like, and this goes on for a long time, and then they'll start, doing like solos and stuff. It's all instrumental, but it's like it's so precise and technical and very low. I don't know what is Abasi
8 strings. They do 8 strings.
Yeah.
He tunes down basically as an octave below the regular E. So he's like, can you guys hear that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I mean that's pretty low for a guitar.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But this is stuff that I would put on all day long and listen to. So who is shitting all over gent? What metalhead doesn't like gent? I don't understand.
Well,
if you're a metalhead,
boomers,
please.
for one, I imagine, guys who like Judas
yeah.
Priest or, like the classics.
That's true.
Right? I mean, like, I don't know. Who was it on the Reddit threads?
I don't know. I mean, Reddit is pretty anonymous. I don't know who these people are.
Right. That's interesting. I mean, I get it. Yeah. What really hurts gent is the lack of the melody. Like anytime you take out melody in the vocalist, it's much harder to get market share.
It's true, but that is a staple of a lot of metal. I mean, when you're talking about like death grunts and that kind of stuff, you don't have melody. And
how does deathcore and degent, how does that sell? Like what?
Well, good question.
Sugar is not selling a lot. I can tell you that, but I don't know exactly what they do.
If you consider Gojira to be gent, then I think they sell pretty well. A lot of other bands do not. But so we have
to look at their streaming. Gojira is a newer band, so they would be streaming.
Well, newer, yeah. They started in like 2006 or something.
Yeah,
but yeah,
20 years old is newer.
They're not from the they're not Ozzy Osbourne, right?
Yeah.
But okay. So I've got a couple other examples, but Born of Osiris is a great
they're only 2 million. Gojira is tiny, and they're like the biggest one.
2 million. This streaming on Spotify?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Metallica is 25 million or so.
Yeah. It's hard when you compare anything to Metallica, right? Because they're so big and have been around forever. It's really hard.
Although I learned recently that Metallica isn't the biggest metal band, and I had no clue about this. Luke or Pete,
in terms of what?
No, in terms of streaming, and that that pretty much they released a new song recently, and that pretty much confirmed to me that they're just enormous, which is crazy to think about considering their frontman died in like 2017 and they're not an active band.
Oh, are you talking about Linkin Park?
Linkin Park. So I guess it depends on if you consider them metal or not, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
our fans
then we get
not.
into the weeds on that, right? I mean,
yeah,
but they're bigger than Metallica on Spotify.
Yeah.
Like a few million bigger.
I mean, they right. I mean, they have a lot of radio play too and all that kind of stuff. But when you get into like the poppier stuff, you're just naturally going to have a much, much larger audience.
Yeah. Well, and Chester's vocals, were clean and, it makes it a lot more relatable. So they have, they shot up to 35 million. They're 10 million bigger than Metallica. That is so insane. And they also combined, like the rap or sampling element. Wow. I mean, if you're making a metal band in 2023, you can go the gent route and have 6.66 people listen. Or what if you like incorporate some of these like more modern commercial elements? I don't know, just an idea. End up more like Linkin Park. I mean, Luke, you like Linkin Park as a diehard metalhead, right? I mean,
I will tell you, I have a couple of their like first two albums, and they're decent, but like a lot of pop music for me, I like it. It wears thin on me very quickly. Linkin Park's on the radio so much now. When it comes on, I turn it off. It's just like it just gets old because there's nothing, there's no depth there, right? And so
that's fair enough.
Yeah. But yes, I mean, I like some of their stuff. Okay. So anyway, we want to know a couple of things. One, is gent a genre or not? And then we want to know, who do you like gent? Do you listen to gent? What are the best gent bands? You can't say Meshuggah. Meshuggah is an obvious one. But other ones. Okay.
I mean, Animals as Leaders is those guys do really well. I mean, that video that you played, Luke, how many views did that have on it? A lot, right?
Couple million.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Red Meat, Animals. Well, and that's on YouTube.
Right.
Just over a million.
Okay.
Came out 3 months ago.
That's a lot for the music that you're hearing is so complicated and it just that surprises me that it does as well as it does.
I know it's true. If you said, "Hey, do you want to listen to a technical metal band that's all instrumental?" How many people would be enticed by that description?
Uptake. Yeah.
Yeah. But they're doing it. Yeah, they're doing a good job. I didn't even know that they were instrumental until like 6 months ago. But okay, well, speaking of popularity, oh man, I got the wrong videos uploaded. That's supposed to have music behind it too. Featured band of the day, which would be the week. Okay, guys, this is not gent, but it's pretty cool. You've heard us talk a lot about Arion and Aaron Anthony Lucasen. He's got a new project coming out. May album drops, and it's called Supersonic Revolution. And it's Aaron and a bunch of guys that got together and they're making like rock from like, inspired by the 70s. So I got a clip here. This is a clip from the single. It's called The Golden Age of Music. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. I mean, like references galore. I mean, there was like Pink Floyd in there. There's Alice Cooper in there. All these references, like 70s icons and music and stuff.
This is a different band, though. He has a new project, Supersonic Revolution, huh? It's not Arion.
It's not Arion. No. This is a totally new thing. He got asked to do a cover of some 70s rock song for a magazine or something. And he was like, yeah, I'd love to do it. And then he had so much fun doing it. He like put this band together and then he wrote an album. Like, you know, he was like, the 70s music was his formative years, right?
Yeah.
So he's like, I want to write music.
I mean, dude, you hear David Gilmour influence in his playing all over the place.
Yeah.
You know, the Dream Sequencer, you know, starts off with that solo.
So good.
I mean, that's just like David Gilmour. Yeah, 100% influence.
Only better.
I love Aaron because he's not afraid to have fun with his music. You know, he doesn't take it too seriously. But he's a serious musician, you know.
A lot of metalheads take themselves very seriously.
Exactly.
It's goofy.
Yeah. All right. So check it out. May 19th. Supersonic Revolution drops. He's got, I think there's like 2 or 3 singles out on YouTube. You can check them out, and then buy the album on the 19th. I'm going to, so you should too, basically. Okay,
so
guys. So let us know what you think about Gent. And until next time, the world ends with you. So keep it metal.